Jai Hind, Namaskar. I have with me Suzanne Bernert once again, who will talk to us about Europe because I have a lot of questions and I'm sure she has a lot of answers. Thank you so much for coming once again.
Oh my God, Namaste. I'm very happy to be on the show again. Last time we got a really good feedback, and I'm very excited to say hi to your viewers again. Namaste, Namaskaram. खुशी की बात है कि मैं यहाँ फिर से आ गया and आपसे बात करने की now it's the time. I don't know about the questions. I think I have questions as well. So I think the populations of European countries are having a lot of questions. So
Yeah,
let's jump
yeah.
into it.
Let's dig in from. I mean, I know when somebody says Europe, everybody will say Olympics, Olympics, but we'll get to the Olympics. But I want to ask you what's happening in Germany. There's a lot of, action there against the illegal immigrants. We've seen that the police is not taking any, steps back nowadays. The retribution is really hard. They broke that big church in Hamburg. The police is kind of cracking up the protesters. What are you hearing on the ground?
I know only about it from the news, basically.
Yeah.
I haven't even spoken to my parents about it. That's also because they are elderly, and my dad is very much into politics, but even he wasn't mentioning it. What was interesting. So, how much this is out in the news in Germany? I mean, we have a lot of news about it, and I would have to like Google and see what is in the news in Germany. Deutsche Welle said something about it, but that's always to be taken with a pinch of salt. We know about them. And yeah, what I read is that since November last year, they were under observation. So this was not something that fell from the sky. This was a whole operation where a lot of intel was accumulated, put to the forefront, collected, and then finally they decided to do this. And then they're very strict. If anything goes wrong in Germany, they धीरे and then suddenly abhi bas ho gaya. Basically that's the thing. So that's why I'm not so surprised at this major crackdown. They raided 1 second, I have the numbers here. They raided also I think 53 locations. Yeah. And the statement by the Federal Minister of the Interior, Nancy Faeser, saying that the organization that they cracked down on promotes an Islamist extremist totalitarian ideology in Germany, which is opposed to human dignity, women's rights, an independent judiciary, and our democratic government. So these are very clear worded statements by our Federal Minister of the Interior. I'm quoting her here. I'm not making this up, these are quotes. So, and it's added in the statement, this should not be seen as a move against a religion. So they're distinctively making the difference between this has been used by an outside government. They have used these organizations to do something in the country and plot an attack, as far as I can see. So cracking down on this was very necessary because we do not want to have any repetition of these attacks like on the Christmas market. Way back where they were just driving into the Christmas market. So if the government is doing this, I'm applauding it. It's necessary. It's necessary for the population to feel safe as well in their own country.
Yeah, last time you told me that you were from a small village, town, city sort of a place, and you didn't want to get out of your places after 10, and that's quite.
I was not even aware of it. The thing is that somebody in my mom's circle, she was saying it to her daughters, please do not go out in the evening after 10:30. It's not safe in the city center. This could be also other. I mean, it's such a small town, but we have homeless and drunkards hanging around in certain areas, and I make a big circle around them. I don't want to be anywhere near them. Usually they're harmless, but you never know when somebody can flip out.
Wow. That's this action is a bit unexpected coming in from the Greens, especially the Green Liberal Party, which is currently in power. I was
It's a
just about to
coalition.
joking.
But
Yeah, I
it's
was
a
just about to joke.
coalition government.
I was just about to jokingly ask, did Olaf Scholz resign that we don't know about or something? I don't know. I mean,
Olaf Scholz is from the Greens, no?
it's interesting because Germany, the kind of Palestinian protests and that we saw, they were very violent. and they were very aggressive in nature. They were kind of the sloganeering was very, very radical, and we saw intifada and all that stuff being raised there. I mean, I have no problems. You want to protest as much as you want. That's not a problem. But when you talk
Yeah.
about violent uprising, when you talk about all that stuff, that's something which you know
But we have seen a reflection of that in America as well. We have seen a reflection of this in other European countries. And I don't know if the countries are all waking up to the fact now that this is not a good idea. I mean, I just remember this one instance when in America they tried to, in that one university, they were trying to desecrate the American flag, and the Jewish students were protecting it. They went up and they just said, no, this can't be happening. Sometimes I also don't know if there are certain elements in societies that are just waiting for an opportunity to run havoc. You know, they might not even be associating themselves or believing in anything. They're just like, okay, it doesn't matter if it's Black Lives Matter or if it is for the Palestine cause or whatever. I can run and I can just burn something and break something and steal something. You know, I don't know how much of a percentage of these people actually do know what they're doing.
you're spot on. There are loads of such people
Mm.
who love chaos and who would like to
So
create a lot
Scholz
of.
is, yeah, but Olaf Scholz is from the Socialist Democratic Party. He's the coalition is with the Greens, with the Alliance 90 and the Greens and the Free Democratic Party, what is the FDP, where everybody says it's only for the rich people. And so we have a traffic light coalition, it's called. So a traffic light coalition means that a lot of people are in it, and most of the time the traffic light is just on red because
Lucky
everybody
move.
wants to, nothing moves or it moves in the wrong direction. But I'm
I
happy
mean,
to see some action
this is
there.
really interesting because looking at the factor that here is our prime minister in India, who's, I mean, of course, weakened a bit, but he's still pretty strong. He doesn't have any threats to his coalition, and there is a green light. And when you look at the West, there's red lights everywhere. It's funny.
And the
But
thing is that
how do you
people don't know who they vote for. You know, the whole thing is that my mom is saying, I don't know who to vote for because the options that are there, I think it's the same situation what the states is facing right now. We don't know who to vote for because out of the two options, both of them are not what we want. So if the political parties are not being able to put up that kind of packaging candidate that the most of the population say that's the person I want to, that's the man or woman I want to as a leader in my country. I feel like they are going the right way and I follow them. We are so scattered because everybody's trying to find the least problematic party. They're just trying to figure out what fits into their lifestyle because basically, in the end of the day, what do we want in life? We want to have security, a certain kind of freedom. We want to be able to do the things that we love to do. We want to work during the week, and we want to have a health system that supports us. And so,
basics?
all,
Yeah.
a lot of basics, but a lot of those things are under attack. So the medical system is also wonky, to say the least, because what has happened is it was in government, and a lot of has shifted to private. Private means they need to make a certain amount of money. Like the hospital that I basically know from my childhood, where I went with every operation where my family has been going to, has just shut down because they don't have any employees anymore and it is not financially viable to keep this. That means a whole area doesn't have a hospital anymore. Now, instead of the hospital that used to be like 15 kilometers from my parents away, they have to travel now 45, 50, 60 kilometers to reach another hospital. So that's one thing. Then I saw just now, I'm quoting again, ZDF heute. ZDF is a German channel, German broadcasting channel, where people also have to pay like a subscription. If they want to or they don't want to, they have to pay, even if they don't watch it,
Like BBC.
like BBC. So Germany is having that same kind of a system. So I just saw one of their articles where they interviewed a woman and she was advised to go. They said she has a hole in her cornea and she needs to go for an operation. Two operations, very expensive ones. She took a second opinion. The other doctor said nothing like that. So it's moving into a territory where you are. It used to be you go to a doctor, he tells you what he literally feels and thinks, and then you trust that person and you go for whatever is being advised. Now it looks like that you have to take a second or third opinion because you never know if the person is more motivated by monetary means. Like if he got pressure from the higher ups because they have to like make a certain income. So that's one thing. And in Germany, all these years, as long as I've known, people have paid into social security. It means if you're losing your job, you will get financial support from the government, and into the health department. Means if you're employed, your employer pays half and you pay half. So every month, hundreds of euros are going into that pot. And because of an aging population and a lot of influx of migrants and people and refugees and whatever not, this has gone a little tilted.
Hmm.
That means that people are not, you cannot get appointments that easily anymore. You are being left with more bills to pay yourself, what never happened before. So there are a lot of things that are going in the direction where people are feeling not that secure in their surroundings anymore, especially with health. Anyways, you have to pay for dentist stuff and for, unless you take an extra insurance, dentistry and eyes were never covered. And gynecologist. Fun fact, gynecologist is not covered.
Oh wow! And then Germany says our population is dropping. I wonder why.
They're dropping because it's very, very expensive to have a child. And it's very difficult. Like if you want to have a good income and a good life, you need two incomes. And these two incomes combined together give you that kind of a feeling that you actually can do something with it.
That's the same in
If
India.
you have, yeah, because you have like two income groups as well. Like if the person who makes more money gets the better income tax group, and the person who makes less gets the less good income tax group. So they basically pay more, but combined together, you can be quite comfortable, even though the not poverty rate, but minimum like I think poverty rate is now 2,500 euros a month.
Hmm.
What
Okay.
is like in lakhs poverty
Mm,
rate Germany?
14 about, yeah,
That's
that's
only one.
yeah. So when you kind of look
So
at
they're
this and
saying Germany's population, 20% were affected by poverty or social exclusion in 2022. That is 17.3 million people who are affected by this.
sheesh,
So if you want
it's
to have children, you have to have a really good income so you can afford to have the child. Or if you have a child and two income, then you have to go and you find. It's not like in France where you have a right to a crèche where you can bring a child in the morning and pick it up in the afternoon. There's nothing like that. In Germany, it's like you apply, maybe you get a kindergarten place, but you still have to pay for it.
interesting. When you look at all this stuff and you see the re-election of people like Ursula von der Leyen, who's hard left, if I may, how do people in Germany and other places react? What do you think? I mean, I'm sure you're aware of the politics of this lady, unelected German leader. Um, how do you see this going forward? Because the kind of stranglehold that this lady has over the European Parliament and the European Parliamentary Committee, which is like the head, it's it's mind-boggling.
I'm very surprised that she was re-elected. Very surprised. Very surprised that she came in the first place, and very surprised that she got re-elected. So I'm wondering who's behind it. Who wants her there?
Me.
I doubt it. I doubt it.
No, no,
But
no. I'll tell you who wants her there. Who wants her there are the globalists, deep state sort of a thing. Who
mm,
let's move to France. What we saw in this Olympics was
weird.
shameful.
Let's just put it weird. I don't even. My dad, who watches every sport event, who loves to watch, he said he got bored. He shut the TV. That's my dad. That is somebody who watches darts championship and soccer and like football, and he watches
Yeah.
everything. He's very interested in it, and he was like, I asked him, so compared to the other years, Papa, do you feel like this was like, yeah, they wanted to do something this really big and grandiose and it sounded really good, but then the execution. So he was a little disappointed, to say the least. So that was
Forget
just
the
his view.
when you look at it as someone
Yeah.
who's grown up in Germany, you know the kind of culture there is. It's not a American culture is more open than European culture. European is very, it's still a little
Christian values. I
conservative.
mean, the yeah, because some of the political parties actually have Christian still in the title, no?
But generally speaking, Europeans are a little more conservative than Americans. I'm not talking about the Southern Europeans where it's closer to beaches and all that stuff, and there is a
Mm.
lot of party culture which has come in which was there even then, south of France, south of Italy, and that Mediterranean region. But I'm talking about Northern Europe has been very conservative. It's a family-led sort of a society. A lot of similarities between the family values as per se between India and Northern Europe, because it's a very family based cultural. You don't disrespect your elders, you don't do all those kind of stuff. Even if you have to party, go
Actually,
crazy.
nice to hear that from you because I have been fighting this kind of stereotype like, yeah, तुम्हारे पास परिवार नहीं है, संस्कार नहीं
No,
है,
no. In Northern
तुम्हारा
Europe,
पता
I
नहीं
don't buy it. I don't buy it because I've visited that area. I've seen that area myself.
है.
It is very, very conservative. You want to drink and this and that, you can do it on the street, but people don't like it. You'll kind of sit in your pub,
It
do what you
doesn't look
want to.
good. Yeah, it doesn't look
You,
good. It's not. It's
it's the same in
not a good
India.
look.
People don't like kachra on the street. People don't like you to misbehave on the street. There's a lot of people
Yeah.
who don't, mind your own business and do your own thing.
Mm.
When a person who comes from that upbringing sees what the opening ceremony, especially the Last Supper,
Yeah.
I,
Yep. See, they already come up with this explanation that it is not the Last Supper, that it was the Greek god, but i- it is cut to cut. It is really frame to frame. If you put the Last Supper on top of it, and you look at the framing under the other one, and I was like, okay, if it's Greek, why isn't it golden? Where is the gold? Where is the grapes? And you have a certain image. If it's Greek, where is that? That leaf band around the head, and if
yeah.
you want to depict that, it was not looking like it. And again, I'm quoting that Thomas Jolly, the ceremony artistic director, he wanted to show that they wanted to subvert French stereotypes and highlight the country's constant re-examination of its values and identity. That's his explanation. And I'm a little bit like, okay, the conference of French bishops was appalled. They were saying the ceremony has unfortunately included scenes of derision, mockery of Christianity, which we deplore this. And he's right. It doesn't matter what you think about Christianity, but hello.
I was about to say that it doesn't matter what you think about it, but yeah, at a personal level, you can criticize any religion, do what you want to. I have no problems. But when a country in a global platform does something like this,
Yeah.
you really beg to wonder what is. I mean, I was a bit shocked when I saw that cover thing coming out and that blue man singing. I'm like, God, wasn't it enough to put? I have personally nothing against fat people and this and that. Some of them are really in trouble because their health creates challenges. But this glorification of obeseness,
Hmm. No,
celebrating
what is it called?
fatness.
What was that? Body positivity. That's the
I,
new term for it. And a lot of these influencers who are coming from the body positivity side, they have passed away by now. Because it is not really healthy to be this big. I mean, if you have issues, if you have a thyroid issues, if you're trying to live healthy, and if you are doing everything for it, and you just can't shed the weight, then I can understand it's just not possible. But you cannot make it into an art form. There was this whole trend on Instagram where everybody was like, I can eat what I want and body positivity, and I should be like applauded for being this big, and I'm fat, and I mean, but there is a certain like just by having a lot of weight on your body, you are putting a lot of pressure on your joints and on your heart and on your whole system. So even if you want to call it body positivity, please do that. But in the end of the day, as I said, a lot of them passed away while shouting this from the roofs.
Yeah, there were
It's
these four
really in the
American
Bay Area.
women who died because of this. They were obesely, morbidly obese. I mean, I saw that. I saw that. But see, French have been a bit radical. I know, but when I see this, I don't think this is France at all, because France is radical, but France is also very classy.
Yes, exactly. I miss that. I miss the classiness. I miss the whole maybe the artistic director was referring to the uh, French elegance. Like, let's not be the stereotype of the elegant and sophisticated and beautiful French. No,
The
that's good.
the opposite
Fashion.
is
I mean, just
opposite.
fashion. Just take fashion. How much fashion has come out of that place? Chanel, Dior, you name it. It's coming mostly. A lot of it is coming from France and Italy. So just to not include this in any way, is there a statement by the person who was supposedly Jesus, or I couldn't find anything. Have you seen anything that that person has made a statement themselves?
Yeah, no, she said something. I was not this and this and that, and people got after her, and then she was
Well, I
found
can't
doing.
even blame that. Just imagine somebody comes up to you and says, "Hey, I want you to be part of the opening ceremony of the Olympics." I think everybody would have said, "Yes, yes, yes." Not expecting this kind of a backlash.
That's very important, interesting, because today, by the way, people who tweeted about this a couple of days ago, and people who were expressing their regret that what the hell is this, they've all been sent notices for copyright claims
Okay,
on Twitter. Okay,
not
so
so.
copyright claims, you need to remove that, otherwise you'll have a freaking case against you. They were encouraging people to start removing
Happened,
that content.
happened. Yeah, it happened to me as well. But I only shared what was it? Football. I think 2 years or 3 years ago, football championship, and an amazing goal. And I just took that small clipping and boom, they were on my case.
Okay, fair enough, that's still fine. Yeah, but
Yeah.
I don't condone it, but I'll
Mm,
accept it. Fair enough. Okay. Point taken that you
yeah.
don't want people to share your stuff. Point taken. Okay.
Yeah.
But you're going after people to kind of shut them up, not to let this story out of the bag and say, no, 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 nothing like this happened.
Yeah, but we all know it has happened. Just by
They-
having a discourse on Twitter,
yeah. They put the
uh,
flag upside down.
yeah, they put the flag upside down. They announced the South Korean team wrong. Yeah, they have one scandal after the other, from the Canadian team that was spying by drone on the which other New Zealand team, I think,
Mm.
female football. Then that dressage rider, old video surfaced. What timing? Look at the timing. Old video surfaced where she was beating a horse, so she had to get out. Then cyclist who said, because my girlfriend was not chosen, I'm not coming because she's actually the champion, not the one who took 11 minutes to reach the same spot that my girlfriend did. I mean, it's one scandal after the other. This is not going the way they wanted it to. Have you seen the people who paid 600 and 2,700 euros for places at the opening when they didn't see anything?
Yeah, because they were below that, they couldn't
No,
see
not
what was
even
happening.
that. Full view. The guy filmed. I'm sitting here, and the only thing I see is this fountain in front. I don't see the boats passing by. I can't see anything. The only thing I have is this water fountain in front of me.
And Emmanuel Macron, who I used to like to a certain extent,
Hmm.
because he's good with India. So you had a little bit of a affinity for him. But Emmanuel Macron actually tweeted saying, "This is France." I was like, "What is? This is not
Yeah,
France. This
Alex.
is, I don't know, California."
It
Some.
is. It is very, very. I don't want to get like. I don't. I don't know. they're all getting infected by this virus, if I don't know what.
So how do you see European people reacting to this wokeism? This whole transgender, lesbian, gay, this, that, whole lot of things which are there. I have nothing against them, by the way. They're human beings
No,
as much
no,
as I am.
I'm just thinking. I mean,
No, I just want to make sure of
there
that,
are too
because today
many
people have
people
become
around who are, yeah.
overly sensitive about this. I have no problems with anybody. They're as much as human beings as I am. They have as
Yeah,
much
but it
as
should
rights.
not be the goal. I have
It
an
should not be
issue
stuck on my
when
face
you're
all the
trying
time,
to
right?
make it into a goal. Yeah, I had a discussion with Rashmi at Oxford. Rashmi, who was like that whole drama in Oxford where she
Hmm.
was the president and then they took her out
Yeah.
or whatever, where they were going through her old posts and she had congratulated women on Women's Day for their achievements. So she's written women and trans women. And this is an old post on Instagram, I think. And then she was blasted. You should have mentioned all 73 or I don't know how many genders that there are because by saying women and trans women, you're excluding every other gender. Uh, this is getting complicated. This is getting to the point where we're not going to work or do anything else but like twist ourselves into a pretzel trying to understand who's what, which pronoun, and how to communicate with another human being.
Thank God we're
Isn't
in
it too
India.
complicated?
Yeah.
Isn't it complicated enough already? Isn't it complicated enough already? Don't we already have issues with communications because of languages and backgrounds and religion and whatever not? Now, on top of it, we have to like cut ourselves into even more smaller parcels and make it completely impossible for any communication.
Yeah. The problem that I see is that here is a culture who kind of uh, claims itself, Europe itself said we civilize the world. Fair enough. Let's put that point. You modernly civilize the world in this modern age. I'll give it to you. No problem.
Hmm.
Europe, you can wear the crown of civility. Did you send it on rent or something? What happened? And this is a person from the so-called third world saying, "What is that?" Because you see that Australian person got raped. Uh,
Yeah,
the
it's
football
so much
team,
police. I was like, my God, this is so much police. 45,000 policemen from somewhere else as well. Germany just sent a whole contingent down.
India sent.
Oh, I didn't know that. Wow, that's so
Yeah,
cool.
India sent. You That Australian lady gets raped. That first football match gets washed out because of hooliganism. Yesterday, I think some athletes got ripped off by two Pakistanis there. Not
Yeah,
surprising.
I saw. Yeah, yeah.
They forgot to put air conditioning in their rooms.
No, they didn't forget. This was on purpose. I read a whole article on it. This was on purpose because they want to lower the footprint. The They done this on purpose. They were saying no AC is required because we have done a special building and it's very eco-friendly and we have put fans and certain cooling system is happening. And who was crying about ACs? The Americans and the Australians, not the Indians, not the people who come from hot countries. It's like this is going to affect. So what the committee finally said is that yes, we are allowing them. You can rent them or buy them yourself.
2,500 ACs they fixed over last night.
Okay, okay. That I read this 2 days ago that they said if you want an AC, you have to do it yourself.
2,500 ACs went in last night. You made beds with cardboard. Each and every athlete is complaining about it.
Somebody bought new mattresses. They said the mattresses
Yeah,
are too hard.
yeah. They bought new mattresses on their own and they
So
put
I'm
it there. I
asking
mean, you can
myself,
imagine.
I had this conversation with Arjun in the morning where he was saying, where was the committee checking these things? When it was in Rio, they were there checking these things. When it was in other countries, they were always there checking. And where was Bach this time? He was just food tasting. That's the only thing that we ever saw him do. The question is, where was the oversight? Where was anybody questioning what's going on and what's happening?
That's because Europe does everything right. It's only dumb Indians like us who do everything wrong.
I am sick and tired of this. Being a European and German myself, you have to admit mistakes as well. You cannot just walk around the earth and say, "Hey, we are perfect." You're not perfect.
You look at how they're
And
treating us, what
I,
kind of the articles and the kind of rhetoric that is coming out because Prime Minister Modi goes to Putin and secures his oil supply. What's wrong in that? Not my war to fight. There's terrorism happening in Kashmir right now. We've lost 12 soldiers in the past month. It's terrible. People like me who from associated from the forces, I don't show it online, but my blood boils.
of course, it does.
I don't need to
It's
show it online. That's my own emotions, and I don't like to put it online. What will I do? Start abusing the Pakistanis maximum? I can't do beyond that.
mm.
But where is a recrimination coming from any European Union? Nothing, because our lives
Yeah,
don't matter.
because yeah, that, and then on top of it, you have these media outlets like BBC who are just calling it occupied. No, they're still using that terminology. No,
Yeah,
Indian. What was it? Indian.
IIOJK, Indian occupied Jammu and Kashmir,
Yeah,
some crap like that. Anyways,
some
I don't
crap
care.
like that. Like under.
So that's one of the reasons I make maps, right? I make maps and put Khalistan, which is propagated by Canada, inside Canada. I have broken maps of the UK where the central part is the Islamic Republic of Northumbria. So who can play this game? No, it's funny. I'll show it to you after the show. It's really funny.
Okay. Okay.
When you also see this and the way that this whole thing has happened, the Olympics has been planned and this and that. What tells you about
Takes
here is
years.
a country? Sorry,
I mean, it takes years to plan these things. It takes
yeah,
years to build this up, and then you
did
see
they?
the result. You're like, why did this take so long?
This kind of a thing, I think you give it to some event guy in India, he'll plan it in a month and put it out.
Yes.
You're from the movies. If I call one of your movie set directors and stuff like that, the set guys, and say, listen, I want this done, he'll do it in a month.
Yeah, and the whole thing
Probably do
is,
it better.
ये नहीं है there is this nice story about a shoot in Dubai where they had hired this really great cameraman. I don't know if he was from Germany. Okay, European. Let's just put German, European because I can't remember. It's been too long. 2003. So he sent a whole list of what all he needed for the shoot. Okay? So they're going through the whole list and they get some of the stuff. They couldn't get all of the stuff. So he lands, sees the list, sees what is all not there, is on the next plane and flies back. They get an Indian cameraman who looks at all of this and says, "Oh, ekdam perfect, chalega." Yeah. And if something is not there, then there's this very famous thing called jugaad. So there's always something in this country, even if you don't have it, you will always
Figure
make
it
it
out.
happen. I have seen a guy in a tree. Uh, he was like they put the camera on a string and a mattress at the bottom just in case something happens to it. And they were pulling it up to make that transition, from the ground. They pulled the camera up slowly to have because they didn't have a crane. Either they couldn't get the crane in because it was that kind of territory where you can't get that machinery in, or because shooting conditions can be like this, or they just didn't have the money. But I was there, I saw it with my own eyes that they pulled this camera up by a string. There were 3, 4 people pulling it. Just like, yeah, beautiful shot, by the way.
Yeah, it'll be when there's a will, there's a way. Coming towards the end, one of the things I also want to ask you is about the whole advent of illegal migrants into the place, and I don't see anybody doing anything about it. What is the feeling amongst the indigenous people there? Although very little population in the next some time, I mean, there are countries like Belgium which are already pretty much overtaken.
Yeah.
Places like Molenbeek where people like you and I won't be able to walk. Forget anything else. Uh,
Mm.
I mean,
I
I
saw this, what used to be East Germany.
hmm.
These two guys, they're rapping about how uh, sad their life situation is and how they don't know where to go. But they're also scared about voting right wing in Aadi because those guys are also not the solution. And coming back to, I think the most people just feel there's no solution. Who are we voting for? Who are we taking? Who will fight for us? Who will be there for us without being too much in any direction? You know, is we don't want anybody who's too left. We don't want anybody who's too right. Why can't we just have somebody that says our country for our people, and then we'll see if we can help anybody else?
Yeah.
Why is this such a big problem? I do not, and then I think that's the idea behind it. I'm gonna fly in end of November to Germany, and I will just sit down and try to talk as many people as possible to see what is the situation. Because I never made the effort. I talked to my family or I talked to a couple of friends, but I really want to know what people are feeling, because what I saw when I was there this year is that people are just living their lives like this. Some of them, they don't even want to look at the news anymore. They don't want to hear the news. They don't want to know the news. They just want to live their life. Their life is like, I go to work, I come home, I cook my dinner, I watch some TV, something that does not upset me because the whole world is burning. And then I just going to go and sleep, and I will take care of my children, and I will just maybe plan a holiday. But I don't want to know what's going on around me because I just can't handle it.
It's
So I
powerful.
see that
And
with a lot
you
of
you you
people.
you mentioned something in the beginning called center left, center right, and this and that. Who is right wing in this world? I don't know, because most of the guys who kind of claim themselves to be right wing are center right, to be, just a little tad right from the center, to be precise. I don't see any
Yeah.
right wing guys today in this world today. It's not there. I would call these
I,
Islamists as hardcore right. These radical Islamists, they are the right.
I would be a little bit careful about this with especially in Germany, because the AfD is leaning towards what Hitler used to say, and they're using his kind of wording, and they're going in that direction. And that should not be never again. Hashtag never again.
I
I
know, but what do you do with it? What will people do? I mean, I'm not trying to justify that sort of a right wing movement, but I
Yeah,
can
we.
understand it. When somebody
But you
says this
see,
is happening in Germany, I'm saying,
we
yeah,
are
fair
used to we are used to Modi, who is, if you really look at it, he's in the middle of the road.
enough.
Anybody who calls him right wing or whatever, we would be somewhere else. We would be talking about something else, because this would be a different country if he would really be right wing. Yeah, I think people need to understand that whatever is being used here as a terminology for left and right is very different to the rest of the world.
Mhm. Hmm. There's a narrative which goes around in the leftist newspapers in Europe, in Germany, in France, and everything like that, is that people like me, Hindus who are nationalists, we are, you know, I don't know. It's exactly like that. Hindu nationalists, authoritarian, this thing, who are persecuting minorities and
Hmm.
taking away their property, taking away their money, don't give them jobs.
Hmm.
You've been in India
It's
for
a
how
weapon.
long?
It's a weapon. It's a weapon. It's just like, I mean, just look at the documentary about Modi, and that they are bringing it out and making like they didn't take the judgment of the court into the whole documentary, that he was free of any charges. That sounds like or looks like that you are questioning the judiciary in this country, that this is not a real judiciary, but this is an undermined judiciary that is being run by the government. How dare you? How dare you do that? Who are you to tell us that our government is not a democratically elected government?
Yeah, especially when what's happening in your own country. I mean, it's terrible where you see the kind of uh, so one can understand resistance, but how does Europe kind of justify itself actually promoting a right wing fascist regime in Ukraine? I mean, look at the dichotomy of the situation. On one hand, you have these, they wear those patches, you
Yeah.
know, they wear those patches. The anyways, whatever. They wear those things. And Europe supports that. But here is a country that this thing, and look what they are doing to your own society. It's like, okay, I can respect Europeans if they're keeping on pushing us down and saying you guys are idiots. Fine, fair enough, no problem. As long as your own countries are, in Europe are pristine, it's beautiful. So you say,
Mm.
yeah, fair enough. These guys are abusing me. I'll take it. They know
Mm.
what they're doing. Look at them. And that's what the
Yeah.
feeling in India was till about 3, 5 years ago. That the
There
West
are
is
still
telling us,
people. There's still people who are arguing, especially under our last video, who are trying to argue with me that it is not true what I'm saying about Germany. And so there are still people who believe this. I had this whole conversation. Somebody, there's this cute guy who makes like videos about, hey, India, what's happening with you? So there was this whole story about more
yeah,
millionaires are in Bombay than in Shanghai. And I wrote under it, but the roads are still bad, laughter, laughter. Because I've been here and Bombay has the worst roads because of
yeah.
weather, because of negligence and this and that. We know it. And in other places roads are better. There's so many people are coming to me and they're saying, go back to your country, you Karen, and you're like worse words than that. I was called a Karen for the first time in my life by an Indian. Yay.
Mm.
So what to do? So, anyways, I have actually deleted this comment because I was sick and tired having the same conversation with everybody and say, see, I'm a taxpayer. I've been living here since 2005. I can see a lot of progress in the country, and other places have beautiful roads and you can drive very nicely the moment you're out of Bombay. And why is it a problem in that city? Why don't we deserve it? Because my back is hurting because I go over thousands of potholes and then speed breakers because we don't have any speed, but we have speed breakers. Nee, you are against the government, and I'm fed up of foreigners coming and telling us that our country is bad. I said, listen, go and listen to my talk with Aadi on desktop. I actually gave your link. I tagged you and I said, go and see our conversation, then come back to me. No, they don't want to listen. They don't want to talk. So there's also
Yeah,
a problem
you.
about if you are having any issues with the government or infrastructure, they see it as anti-India. It's not. If we're in the country, why can't we see certain things are not yet good? We have a lot of things that are working well, but
Mhm.
we are a young country, 76 years old. It will take some time. Come on, let's pick it up. Let's do this. We can do this. So, but
No,
okay,
that's true.
okay, that's
That's
another
true.
thing.
I understand that. But I understand that. And I guess a lot of that reaction is due to because of unnecessary criticism that comes about everything. So every time they see somebody with white skin and criticizing India, oh, it's a tang,
I wasn't
it's
even reckoned. Yeah, it was a joke, but yeah, I can
yeah,
understand that. I can understand from where they're coming from. But
yeah,
if you can't have a dialogue, if you can't have a conversation, then you
that's
are
a
doing the
problem.
same thing that you're accusing the people of. You are not better.
Yeah.
You are doing the same thing. You're just shutting the door of any communication. But you had a different question. We just got sidetracked.
Yeah. The
So
last one that I wanted to, yeah, you can answer this and add a little bit as well. What do you see in the future?
I just like from what I understood is that America has a big interest in NATO, and NATO is having a big interest getting bigger. It was supposed to be a certain amount of countries only, and now they're suddenly expanding, expanding, expanding. Like kind of let's break up Yugoslavia, then we have all these small, small tukras of small, small countries, and then they can one by one they can just become part of NATO. And to actually NATO was there too in the Cold War now. So now suddenly this whole thing is happening about expanding the NATO, and then Russia's go like, what are you guys doing? Yeah, what is happening? And I mean, this is not. They were fighting in 2014 already, I think.
Hmm.
Now
Hmm.
suddenly it is happening like that, and I don't know. I find Zelensky is just like uh, being on the cover of Vogue with his wife while his country is in ruins doesn't give me the right feeling.
She just bought a Bugatti.
Oh, nice! Congratulations. While the German population is having, I think, most of the refugees in their country and supporting monetarily and sending money for building up and sending money for building up and sending money for building up. Yeah.
And deindustrializing.
I think Ukraine is such a big topic, and Russia and whatever. Not, I'm not an expert. I think you should talk to Abhijit Ayamitra.
No, I do talk about Ukraine. I mean, that
I
whole
know,
area
I know.
to me,
It is
Eastern Europe is of
amazing.
great interest. I've had an interest in Eastern Europe. Actually, I would say Germany eastwards into the Moscow region, that Eurasian region, as so called. I have had a lot of interest in this area because it
Mm.
sparked two big wars. It's created a whole lot of tamasha in the whole world, and it's a place where you can learn a lot about how dictatorships and governments and regime changes and a whole lot that can happen in that place. There's a lot of history that needs to be learned, recent history that needs to be
Mm.
learned in that area. So it's, for me, it's of personal interest. And before I started this channel, I used to call myself a World War II buff. I still am. I mean, I've looked
Mm.
at the World War from all angles because there's always
Yeah.
something to figure out from another different angle as to what
I'm
was
just
happening.
reading this book called Takeover.
Mm,
What is really interesting, where you like read about situations that we were not aware of, how he actually came into power, Hitler already, how he came into power, how they were thinking that they can just like manipulate him and everything. So that's going
yeah.
on.
On that note, thank you so much for your time. We will obviously catch up once again, and it's always a pleasure. And honestly, really, really fun talking to you. It was a sad topic, but still a lot of fun talking to you because you bring out a lot of life into the conversation. Thank you so much.
Okay, it was a pleasure.
Jai Hind.